Yo, what up? It's your man 410 Josh, back at it, fresh off the Throwback Thursday. You know, that was a really good look. Got a couple inbox and good feedback for that, so I appreciate y'all for checking into that on hip hop underscore 4123. Now today we about to get into these Friday album releases and album reviews. So if you haven't already, again, go on my YouTube page, 410 Josh, hip hop underscore 4123. Hit that subscribe button. You can check out my videos thus far, a couple of my shorts. Like, share, subscribe, comment, hit my inbox. If you want to interact, you got any questions, you can hit me direct. So, we got some releases today, from, some notable artists, some up and coming artists, and some, underground artists. First one, we're going to start with a underground artist that I'm a big fan of, is, RJ Payne. From New York, but by way of Philly. He just dropped a really, really dope project called The Barbershop. It's almost like a concept album of, how like the different conversations you have in the barbershop. And it's some really, really dope, really dope songs. You got C Lance on the production, C Brown. You got some real bangers on here. There's some really, really dope tracks like, The Ghost of Kevin Samuels, Losing My Religion, Slave Food, just all these topics that, you would hear men in a barbershop discuss, from, how you feel about a relationship, where your spiritual walk is, and even, like the food that we eat, government conspiracies, and, but it's a really dope project. So I would suggest y'all check that out, because he's a really, really dope artist. Next, this is another up and coming artist that I've been following. One of the young dudes out of Baltimore is named Roddy Racks. He actually dropped an EP called Hard Times to Hollywood. And I've been following Roddy Racks for a little bit. One of my friends, one of my young homies, had put me on to him. And, he does a lot of the melodic rap and, but the street side and the storytelling. And, it was pretty decent. I liked it. Masked Up is probably my favorite one on there. 6 tracks. I'm sorry. 6 tracks. But they bang. Masked Up is probably, my favorite one. So check out Roddy Racks if you haven't, checked that out. He's Baltimore's own. Then, let's see who else we got. We got a living legend, that dropped, Gucci Mane. He dropped a new album, Breath of Fresh Air. One thing I can say about Gucci, I will admit, I never was the biggest fan. I didn't follow his music closely, but if you're a fan of hip hop and you just sit back and you watch somebody hustle and grind for years and the work they put in, even through all their trials and tribulations, you got to respect somebody like Gucci, because he really put in a lot of work and he put on a lot of people. Like the laundry list of artists that he helped break into the game, from the Migos, Chief Keef, French Montana, Nicki Minaj, OJ the Juice Man, Young Scooter. It's like, it's wild. Like you gotta respect, what this man has done. And then I was looking at his catalog. He has a total of 111 different projects, from 76, 77 mixtapes, 16 studio albums, about 5 or 6 EPs. And then he's got, a slew of collaboration albums. So you gotta respect the man's hustle. But from the album Breath of Fresh Air, it's a couple bangers, if you were a Gucci fan. the couple tracks that I like is definitely There I Go with J. Cole, and you got Pretty Girls with Young Dolph, rest in peace, Young Dolph. Bluffing with Lil Baby. He got some bangers on there. So I would check it. If you're a Gucci fan, you know, and it's one of those albums where he's really like having fun. Hey, Veronica, appreciate you joining the live. But if you really like Gucci, I think you'll like this album, because this is kind of like a fall back a little bit from the real gangster shit that he was dropping. I mean, it's still trap music, but it's like a lot of vibes, more kind of a mellow side of Gucci. So I would check that out if you're a real Gucci fan. Another album, we'll go back to an underground artist. His name is Crime Apple. Now he's somebody I've been following, and I will put y'all on him. Crime Apple been doing this thing for a few years. He got projects with DJ Muggs. He's got, you know, EPs and all types of albums. He don't really do mixtapes. He just really drops, you know, consistent albums. He dropped his new album, Kilometers 2, is the follow up to Volume 1. Another one, you know, he did it again. It's a real banger. He got a song Lasagna, that's pretty dope. Got a song Mystery Kebab. Crime Apple was one of those people that when you get into his music and you really start, if you're really a real fan of lyricism, if you're a real fan of, you know, 90s style production, you're going to get into his music. He's just one of those people, like, he captures the essence of 90s hip hop. Even though he's a modern day artist, he got a real old soul in this hip hop game. So I would check him out too. You know, he's pretty dope. Let's see what else we got. Here's another one. I guess you have to call him a legend, because he's part of a legendary group, Jim Jones. He dropped a new compilation, Bird Gang 2.0. I'm be honest with you. I give Jim Jones his props for his ear for music, for his ear for production, and I give him his props as a businessman, as a hustler. Me personally, I don't really get into his raps. Now, I'm not here to sway y'all one way or another, just to give my perspective on the album, and you can check it out for yourself. Or if you do take my opinion, then, you know, go ahead and listen to it. But this is just me giving, you know, the review. And I will say this, Jim production is always, it's almost always top notch, because he does a lot of work with the Heatmakers, you know, production duo, that's been doing all the Dipset records. So I give him, you know, and then he has a lot of new producers that he, you know, goes out and seeks, and they give him some heat. So I give Jim Jones his props. He got some heavy features on here. Dice Peso, Bird Gang members. He got an artist I like, a song called In the Kitchen, Shooter 93. I like Shooter 93 a lot. Like he's one of them. He kind of reminds me like almost like a Harlem 50 Cent, like this coming out the gate, aggressive, hardcore, no unapologetic, you know, just real street music. Hey, Rick, what up? Shout out to my man, Rick Carpenter. If you haven't followed, he's the founder of our group, Hip Hop 101. So check out our group, so you can find some other artists that we can, some other new artists that you want to, you know about too. But yeah, if you're a fan of Dipset, you're a fan of Jim Jones, then this album is for you. I'm going to say that. I will give him his props. The production on here is A1. I give him that. Let's see. I think it's a one more that I wanted to review. Okay. Yeah, here we go. So this was an unlikely collab album that I did not see coming, but when I reviewed it, I was thoroughly impressed. It's called Start, Finish, Repeat. It's Paul Wall and Terminology. For those of y'all not familiar with Terminology is underground hip hop artist from Massachusetts. Very, very dope. He's another one that on the underground, he has a great ear for production. He's a real lyricist, so he gives you authentic 90s hip hop vibes. So it was a really dope project. And the features on here, I mean, geez, like I was thoroughly impressed. I mean, he got everybody on here from AZ, CL Smooth, Bun B, Tony Sunshine, Big Crit, Petey Crack, Sheik Luch, Nims. Like, I was like, wow. When I first heard this, and listening to it, Static Selector did a lot of production on here. Static Selector's resume speaks for itself. I mean, that man, I don't know of an artist he hasn't really done a collaboration with. Right, all-star lineup. So I would strongly recommend, for those of you that's a fan of Southern hip hop, Houston, Paul Wall, the whole Screwed Up clique, and you a fan of underground hip hop with Terminology, this collab album is definitely for you. The song with CL Smooth is Magic is my favorite. CL Smooth, I always felt like was one of the most underrated lyricists in hip hop. But this project, Start, Finish, Repeat, definitely check that out. So there's one thing I did want to talk about. I saw that a review that T.I. is supposed to be dropping his final album called Kill the King. And the reason why he said this making his final album, because he said he didn't want to be a 50-year-old rapper talking about, shoot 'em up, bang, bang, and, just talking street shit and music at 50 years old. Hey, Key, how you doing? Thanks for joining the live. Yeah, so when I heard that, I don't know why we as hip hop put this ceiling that our artists have to stop at a certain level to make certain type of music or be a part of this culture. Because no other genre, when you go if you look at jazz, you look at rock, you look at blues, you don't see any other artists in there, 50, 60, 70, 80, some up to 90 years old still doing, they love talking about, you really should retire at 40. And you don't see that in pop music. You only see this in hip hop, people saying that at 35, 40, you need to stop, making hip hop music. Because look at it like this. Robert De Niro, top 2, 3 greatest actors of all time for most people. I mean, he was in his 60s, even 70s, still doing mob roles and mob movies and playing those parts to the best of his ability, and some better than we've ever seen. You still got, people still love what they do, and it's a passion. And right, Rick, there's no talent, there's no age limit for talent. If you do what you love, it's going to always, your talent isn't just what you do. It's a part of you. I remember when the singer Tony Bennett passed away, and one of his last statements, he said, if you doing what you love and you have passion for it, you're never going to stop doing what you love because it's always going to be a part of you. And I agree to that. So I don't think that hip hop should, even in the this is the 50-year anniversary, I don't think that any rapper should stop rapping just because they reached a certain limit. Because you don't tell actors to stop acting once they reach a certain age or a certain financial limit. You don't tell, writers to stop writing. There's take an artist like Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson is almost 90 and has dropped his 95th studio album and is on tour. That right there, it's like, if you're in your 90s still putting out albums, you can't be 35, 40 talking about retiring. I'm sorry. You haven't done enough. You put in you might have put in a lot of work in a small amount of time, but they put in amount of work over a long period of time. They've been putting in work before you, while you're here, and after you. So I really, T.I., he's a legend for all intents and purposes, and he can do what he wants. But my opinion is, if you really love hip hop or any genre of music, but hip hop and what we talk about, if you really love what you do, there is no age limit to stop. If you really want to talk about the street side of life and music, talk about it. Because guess what? This is still playing. It's still happening today. So, I just really wanted to get that out there. So, we did the album reviews. Hopefully y'all check them out. Give me your opinion on, the albums that we reviewed today. If you got any questions, hit my inbox. I'm going to interact with you. Make sure, again, you subscribe to 410 Josh, hip hop _4123. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. When this goes up on YouTube, you can check it out again if you haven't joined the live. Shout out to my man Hans. What up, bro? So let me give y'all again a little time to ask any questions. Did I miss anything? Something you want to, let me know about? So y'all shoot away. There you go, Rick. Exactly. They will not tell that to Mick Jagger. And the Rolling Stones dropped an album today. There you go. Rolling Stones been making music since my father was a kid. And my father's in his mid-60s. So you can't talk retiring. You cannot talk retiring at 40, 50 years old because you don't want to talk about a certain subject matter. But hey, there you go. Hey, Lynette. You should stop rapping because you feel you did enough for the culture, or you should just get tired of it. It should never be because you feel like you're too old. I told you. Yeah, you're right. If you feel as though that you've reached your goal and you've done all of what you do, then yeah, you've done enough for the culture. Yeah, then you want to go out on top. I agree. But to do it because people will tell you, oh, nah, yeah. Is The Chronic better than Nation of Millions? Yes, it is. The Chronic is always been for me in that top 11 to 15 tier for my favorite hip hop albums. But I do have Public Enemy, It Takes a Nation of Millions over that. Now, what I did say, and this is probably going to get me killed, is that Ice Cube Death Certificate is better than Nation of Millions. And yes, I still agree, Death Certificate is better, Rick. Sorry. Death Certificate is like, that's probably the most raw, uncut, unapologetic balance of political and street music. More political than street, but as far as the Chronic, yeah, the Nation of Millions is definitely better than the Chronic. Not saying like the Chronic is whack or anything, but it's Nation of Millions is just it's something totally different. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I probably would, but hey. Yeah. So y'all, anybody else got any questions? Anything y'all want to ask before I hop off here? So, I will be back to y'all on Monday for the hot topics for Monday. Y'all know the schedule. Monday, hot topics. Thursday, throwbacks. Friday, album releases and reviews. So I will see y'all back on Monday. Like, share, subscribe, comment to hip-hop_4123 410 Josh. I'm out. Peace.